Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Ash, and with me are my controversial, hot-stern co-hosts, Suze and Tammy. Hey, ya broads, are you ready to turn on the miners' hats and delve into another deep, dark, underground rabbit hole?
Sure am.
Always.
All right, how you girls doing tonight? What are your words?
You already know how I'm doing. You know.
Suze is excellent.
Suze is excellent. Tammy.
I am good.
All
Tammy's
right.
going with good.
And with us, as always, is our favorite fact checker, Dave. How are you doing?
Good. I just made that noise because my computer crashed from like a Windows update, so I didn't know if you guys realized I got kicked off and had to sign back in. But anyways, I'm here. I'm great.
Yeah, I noticed.
I didn't notice any of that. Well, tonight I asked Tammy to give us an update on the research she's been delving into with the massive human trafficking operation she's been uncovering. But before we get into that, I think that trumps a bit of that conversation because he was just almost assassinated at a rally this past weekend.
What?
Just in case there's anyone listening who doesn't know this, you should probably come out of your rabbit hole for a few extra minutes every day. But basically, Trump was shot at, and the shooter did not fatally wound Trump, but he did graze his ear. And unfortunately, a man by the name of Corey Comparator was killed in the crossfire as he was shielding his daughter from the gunshots. The mainstream media went so far to avoid the full story that CNN even claimed that the rally was stopped because Trump fell down. Come on, man.
Oh, they tried to say that he pulled a Biden and he fell down?
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that this makes me so angry because their hate for Trump is so great that they can't even bring themselves to report the news, even when it's this salacious. Not to mention the disrespect for the family of the man who was killed because of the attempted assassination.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Wow,
it's right here after he falls at rally.
Yep. And so, I thought we should probably talk about this first because it's pretty big news. What are you guys thinking about all this? Suze, do you have any thoughts?
I think it's extremely suspicious that they shot at Trump. I think it's weird that they missed. You put somebody on the roof to shoot at the former president, and that I get that you could miss, but to miss but still graze the ear, I'm like, I don't know. I have so many questions. It's all very strange, very, very strange.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like they want him out. Biden's people, because they can't, steal the election, for example, because it would be way too obvious that happened at this point, even before the shooting. It would be too obvious, in my opinion. And I think that if they did try to steal the election and have Biden win, there would be a full-on civil war. That's my 2 cents so far. I'll circle back.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Tammy?
I really don't have any opinions on this. I don't really play into the American politics too much. So, do I think they're out to get him? Yeah. I also think there's a lot of people seeing things that aren't necessarily there with what happened the other day. I think it's awful he was shot at, but I think it's turned into a conspiracy witch hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think at the end of the day, we're never really going to know the truth. Yeah, like the person that they're saying was the shooter. At this point, I don't believe that was the shooter. I don't think we're ever going to know the actual facts.
Yeah.
Like what happened in 2024, the opportunity for that to happen should have never happened in the first place. right? Like in 2024, there's no way in hell anybody should have been able to access a roof that would be able to assassinate the former president or any president or whatever. Like that should have never happened. The last attempt was on Ronald Reagan in 1981.
Yeah.
And in 2024, there's barely any buildings around and some guy manages to get up there and take a shot. I don't know. It's very suspicious.
Yeah. And there are lots of different sort of theories going on about what's happening. And one of them is actually just that it's like DEI hires. The head of Secret Service, a woman, she's talking about diversity hires and that they want to ramp it up to 30% females by 2030 because that's the most important thing, right? Not like actually protecting people. And
of course, yeah.
Like ironically, she was bragging about having a 0 fail record. Well, that's kind of like the Springfield nuclear plant at this point. Start at 1 every day or start at 0 every day. So like, I mean, I have no idea what happened, but it's a possibility. If you look at some of the footage out there, the women who are supposed to be protecting Trump at the time don't seem to be very confident. They seem very taken aback, confused, not very sure of themselves. And one of the main ones, she can't even pull out her gun, man. Like she's definitely not. Let's say, doesn't seem like she's suited for the job very well. So that's I don't know. Dave, you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah. The school of thought of people that are like Trump set this up himself to whatever boost his situation going into the election. I can't see eye to eye with those people because like the miss of that happening, it's a totally different outcome by like 2 centimeters this way or that way. All right, so I can't. That's too much of a chance. And then I don't know, just to be quick about it, like just looking at that guy or kid, if you want to call him 20 years old, I don't think that person by himself can pull all that shit off. Just I don't know. The one thing I saw was he was in a gun club once and he was so shit that the kids that were like in the gun club asked him not to come back because he was too dangerous.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. It's like, I saw one of those interviews. So like, and then you expect me to believe he climbed fucking whatever that was and then had a gun that size on him the entire time. Like, for me, it's making us look that way while really we should have been looking somewhere else for what really was going on. Probably a second shooter or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah. Actually, going back to the diversity hire thing, my hubby and I were watching Redacted, and they were showing some of the physical requirements for scoring points in the Secret Service. And it seems like a pretty low bar at this point.
I saw that.
I was saying to my hubby, like, you know what? I think I'm going to start a Secret Service workout challenge for those of us who've been way too sedentary for way too long, because I think it'll help us feel better about our physical prowess. It's like you do like 14 to 16 sit-ups, you get 1 point. It's like, woo! I'm on my way to protecting the president. Sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw that too, and one of the things was like you had to like run from here to here in like whatever time, and it was like a very easy amount of time. And for like the women's aspect of it, they were allowed to either stop or walk during this run, just as long as they made it within the amount of time.
Come on. Okay. Yeah. Come on, man. I don't know.
So I have a question. What do you guys think the rallies or Trump's rallies are going to look like moving forward?
Well,
do you think there's going to be any extra, anything,
I'll say
bulletproof podiums? Like, what are you thinking?
The Secret Service perimeter probably shouldn't look like Pac-Man. I don't know if you guys saw this image. I passed it on to Dave to pull up, because if you take a look at the area that they're supposed to protect, it literally looks like Pac-Man, and the only pie shape is where the shooter was. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So that's the only spot that they weren't supposed to protect. Okay.
What the fuck? But this is what I mean. Like, this shouldn't have happened ever. In this day and age, this would never happen if it wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he'll start talking from like a Cybertruck with the bulletproof glass.
Maybe.
All right. Well, the world's crazy. We do live in clown world, but
Sure
I think
do.
that's about all that I have to say about that. Because I think you're right, Suze. I don't think we'll ever know the truth, and who knows? Like it could be so many different things. But
Yeah, exactly.
I thought we should.
I think it's also probably a distraction too.
Yeah,
It could be that too. Absolutely.
I
and
think
if it's
so.
not, if it wasn't meant to be a distraction, then they're definitely going to use it to their advantage.
Ooh,
Yeah, to take out Biden.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so my husband does think that my husband thinks that Biden's team is going to take out Biden.
Yes.
And make it seem like it was a Trump supporter.
Perfect.
Now that I can get on board with 100%.
It's already set up.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You know, they want him to leave. He doesn't want to leave. It's time to kill him. And you have everything set up to get even momentum on your side after and everything.
And hold on. Didn't our friends Lex and Beach just say a couple weeks ago to us that they want a different dance partner for Trump?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, all they'd have to do is like put some stairs there. Just give him some stairs, a bike, maybe like an ice cream that he slips on.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
A bike.
All right, Tammy.
Anyway.
Well, you and I have been sharing tidbits of info back and forth over the past few weeks with regard to the human trafficking rabbit hole you've been digging into. And I know that you've unearthed a lot of stuff, but some things are leads while others are maybe a bit more concrete. And I know that it's important to be sure that what we're sharing info on is based on fact and not just on speculation. So I think I'll just leave it to you to kind of share with us what you feel is worth talking about as far as what you've discovered.
Oh my gosh, that really leaves it open.
Shit.
There's so much, I guess. I think we can talk about speculation. Like I do think that's a healthy conversation to have. I think it's just important with the amount of misinformation, and I hate saying that word, but with the amount of it that's out there, I think it's just important to say that it's speculation, right? We can have those theories. I mean, how many conspiracy theories have turned out to be true, right? Mm-hmm. This is also why I was careful with the Trump thing, and I've been hesitant to say anything too, because I just don't know. So, we can touch on some of that stuff, Ash. I don't know where you want to start.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah. I mean, why don't you kind of pick what you feel is like the most sort of, I don't know, like the biggest, most interesting part that you've found since we talked last, because it's been about a month, I think.
Can I pose a question? And I feel like this question will just get the ball rolling to Tammy. So I would picture myself in your shoes, like diving into this stuff and how often you've been doing it and how much time you've spent on it, that you've probably a couple of times maybe reached a point where you've been like, well, that's probably going to be it for me when pertaining to this topic over here. And then boom, something just fell into your lap. We're like, what, fuck, here we go again. So has there been any moments like that where you were just like about to be like, let's change over to something else, and then boom, here we go again with Pickton because so and so fell into your lap?
Yeah, literally every day. And like that, a lot of that's Ashley too.
Okay, so this is the funny thing. Like behind the scenes, I'm like, what if this? What if this? Boom! How about this? Look at this song. How about this? And so Tim would be like, yeah, that was his last name, or that was his first name, not his last name. He's not a Clinton. Like, and so I love like throwing stuff out there and seeing kind of like what what catches, you know, because we're not talking publicly about anything. It's just like I don't know. I like to see kind of what catches my attention and then go back to it and then see if anything gets fleshed out. And Tammy's kind of different, where she's like, no, I gotta make sure that they're factual first before I make any theories. But I'm the other way. I'm like, how about this? What if this happened? So we have different styles.
Yeah. And I totally get that. And I honestly, I'm the way that I am. And Ashley and I've had this conversation a lot of times. I'm the way that I am just because I actually do this stuff for a living, not investigating human trafficking rings, but doing investigations. So, you know, I was trained that you don't speak on anything until you know it's 100%. But I appreciate where Ashley comes from. And she's given me a lot of good stuff too, because she doesn't have those same kind of, I don't want to say boundaries because I don't think that's filters. The right word, but
yeah.
You get, yeah.
Or the methodology. I don't have a methodology. Yeah. I'm just like, ooh, this sounds good.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, looking at it through two different lenses, which has been interesting. So, yeah, like there's those moments every day, and Ashley and I are in, you know, a lot of communication about this stuff, because she's kind of gone down, like you've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with me in a sense, but you've been looking at a few other things as well. So, you know, I think that the biggest thing that I've learned through all of this is how big it actually is. And I still don't think that I fully understand the vastness of it, which is terrifying. And it should terrify everybody, to be honest. Pickton seems to be a very, very, very small portion of something that is so much larger. And to be totally honest, I think that the Pickton Farm, and I think I said this when we did the first episode on this, but I think that the more time goes on, I really am leaning more towards the Pickton Farm being the dumping ground for a very, very, very large human trafficking ring. And when I say large, like global.
Tammy, I know, like, so there are things that I would want to ask you, but I know there's certain things that maybe you're not at liberty to talk about, because people are talking to you all the time about their experiences or things that they know about, but they also don't want it shared publicly. So I'm kind of leaving it up to you in that way, because there are things that I want to say, like, oh, can you talk about this? But I don't know if you're at liberty to, so I don't want to, like, you know, kind of bring up something that's like, you know, well, we'll have to edit the episode or start over or something. So there's like, I don't know if you can talk about maybe like how, you know, how maybe like the bodies that were transported, or, you know, like any sort of stuff like that. And not even how, you know, but just kind of things that you've pieced together in that respect.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was kind of hearing rumblings about, and I kind of looked into, which kind of proves that it's a much bigger thing than, you know, I think what people originally thought, was the information that was coming in about people being transported through the ports. So there's two very large ports in that area. One is the Vancouver Seaport. The other one is the Prince Rupert or Port of Prince Rupert port. And both are, you know, not terribly far. And so there was a lot of talk about that. And I kept hearing a lot of rumors that people were being transported through and also being brought in that way. And at first I really didn't think there was any validity to it, but then I did receive confirmation. So I've had a few people reach out to me that are from the area that and I can't say why, unfortunately, but they are very closely tied to Robert and or David Pickton. And they were able to confirm that there is ties to the port and ties to the longshoremen. So if you don't know what the longshoremen are, they're basically the people that work at the ports. They're responsible for shipping the cargo and all of that type of stuff. So the people that are actually in charge of those ports are not good people. And I was able to get confirmation, and I will hopefully be able to speak on that at some point, more about why I know this information. But for right now, I have told those individuals that I wasn't going to mention names or anything like that. But I think it's an important piece to kind of touch on. Yeah, this is one of the ports there. So they've got cargo coming in and out constantly. And the other big one, too, is the Port Coquitlam rail yard, which is huge. And the Prince Rupert port, or Port of Prince Rupert, is the third busiest port on the West Coast. And it's 500 nautical miles closer to China, or that area anyways, than any other port. So it's kind of sought out for people shipping because it's so close, or so much closer rather. Mm-hmm. So definitely there's some very shady stuff going on with that. One of the other things that I've come across, and this was actually handed over to me by, I want to make sure that I have his name right so that I can give him proper credit for this, because he's done a lot of research on it. Sorry, just bear with me here. I'm just trying to find him. The Eddie Mack Connection.
Right.
So his Twitter or X handle is the EMC12. And he's done a lot of research with this. And he handed me something a few days ago that honestly, it blew my mind. And this is something that me and Ashley were going over together and, just trying to kind of wrap our heads around. But
yeah, thanks for sending me that at 10:30 at night, right before I went to bed. Listen to some creepy fucking music.
Hey stranger, where you at? Your number, can you give me that? And she never called me back. I'm hanging on by a thread. Can I crawl into your bed? And she never called me back.
And then try to go to sleep.
So that's what I do to Ashley when I find something. I send it to her right before bedtime every single time. And I did it the next night too, after I said I wouldn't do that. And I was kind of laughing after I did it. So he brought up a very interesting business that's taking place just outside of Kamloops. It's in Falkland, BC. And there is a body transfer service that somebody has started up. I think his name is Rex Putney. And at first glance, I think a body transfer service seems like a pretty regular thing. But what is weird about it is they have a body storage facility in Falkland, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And in fact, if you try to Google Earth it, you can't even see it. It shows up as just farmland. But I have made some contacts in the funeral industry through kind of doing all of this research. And one of them has been in the industry for about 20 years, maybe a little bit longer. And so I reached out to him to kind of get his take on this, because there's a few weird things about it. So the first thing is this guy was basically a basement one-man garage band. He has a YouTube channel, and he's just been posting death metal for years and years. And suddenly he decided to start this body transfer service, which, okay, fine. But his music is very eerie.
Lovely.
Talks a lot about like porn, dead people, just some really strange things. Ash, did you listen to it?
Yeah, right before bed.
Sorry, can you spell his last name?
Like which guy?
Rex
P-
Putney.
Putney. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that you listened to the song right before bed. Now I feel bad.
My hubby's like, what the heck are you listening to? I'm like, never mind. It's research.
Yeah. So it was like really creepy death metal. And then it was called Seldom Silent was the name of the band. And that's what really, like, it really creeped me out to read that name. And then he later then called his body transfer service Seldom Silent, which if you can't understand why that's creepy, I can't help you. It's since been changed to, Ash, do you remember the name of it? I've got it bookmarked.
I don't.
Just one second here. So I have it bookmarked, and it is...
let me see. Serenity Transfer Services.
Yes, thank you. And so, okay, so Dave's got this guy's stuff up on the screen. And so you can see this logo kind of down in the center with the S and the S. It's kind of just two S's overlapping. So that was the logo for Seldom Silent. He was using that exact same super creepy logo for the body transfer service, which is kind of weird, but he later changed the name. Where it ends up getting really weird, though, is he then created what's called Whispering Pines Body Storage Facility. And there's a lot of things weird with this. The first thing is it's out in the middle of nowhere. So as I said earlier, I reached out to my friend who's in this industry. He does it out in Manitoba. And I said, I kind of gave him all of the other information as well. And I said, does this make sense to you? And he was like, no. He said, it's strange that it's in the middle of nowhere, but also, you typically wouldn't have any form of a body storage facility. So they're almost non-existent. And when I say non-existent, I couldn't even find another one in Canada. Yet we have one out in rural BC. So Dave has the website up. But Dave, if you go down to where they discuss it, there's a part there and it says... Oh, maybe it's not in this section. No, it is.
Something different at the top, or no?
Nope. It's there. The facility, the body storage facility, is our specialized body storage facility tailored for the government and health authorities. So I immediately was like, okay, if that's a thing, then there's got to be others. And I could not find any others. Like, I don't know what else you Google to be able to find these in Canada, but I Googled everything I could think of and I could find nothing. It's non-existent. And so giving this over to my friend to see his thoughts on it, he was like, you don't have those types of facilities. That's not how it works. He said, you might have something very, very tiny, meaning a morgue might have a few extra areas where they would keep bodies. If you didn't have, towns or whatever close by. But he said that area specifically, there's plenty of them around there. So there's no reason for an actual standalone facility, nor has he really ever heard of that. The other weird thing about this is that this guy, and I don't know how old he is, to be clear, but I've looked at his Facebook. I've looked at pictures of him and he maybe looks like he's 28. And he's driving like a fancy Mercedes and he's put out these ads. So there's 12 different ads across BC for a body transporter. And the really weird part is, if you want to go ahead with the job, you have to sign a 7-year NDA. So again, reaching out to my friend in the funeral business, he was like, no, that's not a thing.
Okay, so what
we
I
don't-
got to say is what happens after the 7 years. I'm pretty sure your body gets transported somewhere. I don't think you leave the job without I don't know, being in a body bag yourself.
Right.
I mean, allegedly.
And yeah, and we don't know. It's just this whole thing seems very, very strange. And the reason it seems even more strange is the whole facility is surrounded by razor wire.
And what else?
And food trucks.
No.
Delicious.
I don't want to
Delish.
know. Like, what the hell?
Now, I was able to
And food trucks.
figure out that Falkland has a rodeo every year. And so I do wonder if maybe the food trucks have something to do with the rodeo. Maybe it's storage.
Okay, but
I
is
don't
that
know.
where you want to store like food trucks? Like by a
Me
body
personally,
storage
no.
facility? Like,
Me
we have health
personally, no.
regulations in Canada.
Yeah. And to be clear, like they're stored on the outside of the facility. So Eddie Mac Connection actually drove out there and kind of took a video, and so we could kind of see, what was going on out there. But it seems very, very strange. And then the other thing I found was they're actually posting for somebody to be like the caretaker, and you would actually live in the facility.
Anyone
So
need a
you're
job?
there. Right.
Maybe you could grab that job posting and maybe don't sign the NDA.
Yeah. So it's super weird. And then, of course, how does this relate to Pickton? Well, in looking into Pickton, I've kind of discovered the very large missing persons problem that BC has. And a lot of people are going missing daily. So just last week, I got 6 or 7 messages from different people saying, hey, this person just went missing in BC. Hey, this person just went missing in BC. So it is like an epidemic there. It's very strange. The people are never heard from again. I mean, right now you could go and, just to be clear, the RCMP doesn't even list all of the missing persons because it depends on where the RCMP is governing out there. Some places they do, some places they don't, right? Other times it's left up to the local PD. But the RCMP website is littered with people just from 2024 alone, or even 2023. And I think I did a post on this. I might have dreamed that.
You did. Yeah.
Did I? Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't extensive, but it was just like an idea of how many there were.
Yeah. So so Dave's got it up here, and like this is constant. You can go on just about every day, and you'll find something new.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's really wild, and there's a lot of strange stuff about Vancouver. So. If you look into not even just Vancouver, actually BC. So there's a lot of Satanism history in BC, which I've just started learning about.
Uh-oh.
Great.
Yeah.
Another rabbit hole. We got to throw you a longer rope.
Right? So they have a very dark history of some very dark things. And I think I've posted about this before too, but the NXIVM sex cult was operating out of Vancouver as well. And they were responsible for trafficking. I don't even know how many hundreds of people. So there's a lot of pieces to this. And this is why I say it's such a much larger operation. And then if you want to get into, really get into the Pickton stuff, they owned a number of different companies. And this is the other reason I believe it was a dumping ground, but they had a demo company. They still have a bulldozing company. And when I say they, I mean David Pickton. So he owns DNS Bulldozing in Port Coquitlam, and he is still the owner operator. I vetted that. But they were constantly moving dirt. And one of the most interesting stories that comes out of this, and this is pretty wild because his wife actually reached out, or ex-wife, actually reached out to me on this. But Steve Remian was a man from Oakville, and he moved out to BC. He kind of was, doing like some couch surfing while he was out there, and, staying at a lot of friends' houses and things like that. And he eventually lost his job. And after he lost his job, he came back to Ontario. So I think that was about 2007. He came back to Ontario. And on December 1st, 2007, he was seen outside of a Tim Hortons by Trafalgar and Lakeshore in Oakville. And the police went looking for him shortly after. They found him in Wedgwood Park, which was right next to one of his former schools that he'd gone to. And he was armed with a rifle. I don't exactly know what took place, but the police ended up shooting him at 2:33 a.m. and he was pronounced dead at the scene. So how does this tie into Pickton? He had actually had belongings that were found at the Pickton Farm. So in Pickton's workshop, they found his suitcase, and then in his motorhome or mobile home, they found his hair on a Hudson Bay blanket.
Right.
So what's interesting about that is he actually never had any ties to Pickton. And I know a lot of people have speculated that he has. I've looked into this so much, and I truly believe he has not. Because they ran a demo business, his items were actually found in the back of a Monte Carlo, and the Monte Carlo came from, it wasn't his Monte Carlo, it was from his friends. And the car had been taken to demo, and it ended up at Pickton's. And so, obviously when they've got a big junkyard and stuff, I'm sure they probably go through the cars and see what they can find. Right. And that's how his stuff actually ended up there. But it goes to show you, how many different things could have ended up at that farm. And B, the power that they actually had, because they were able to move so much stuff all the time, whether it be land or people's belongings or whatever the case may be. It really was the perfect kind of cover up.
Suze, what are you thinking over there?
I was actually trying to pull up some body storage facilities.
How you doing with that?
There's gotta be another one. I haven't found one yet.
Yeah, thank you. And please keep looking, because I can't find any.
Yeah, it's very strange. I did find, the one in BC. It came up as a different name until I clicked on it, though. It said Serenity, but then when you click on it, it says Whispering Pines. I'm like, why? Because at first I was like, oh, it's a different one. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I wanted so desperately to find one, and I couldn't. And then I think that was more disturbing that I couldn't.
It's very strange. Yes, very.
Susan, Dave, do you have any thoughts when you hear about this? Tammy, I forget his name. The guy
Steve Remian?
Yeah, Steve Remian. When you hear about that whole situation, do you have any thoughts on maybe, what do you think could have happened? How did his belongings get found there? What do you think happened when he was shot by the police? Do you have any thoughts on, I don't know, what do you think happened there?
I don't know. Maybe he knew something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea, but I just of course, my mind starts wandering. I'm like, I don't know, was he MK Ultra? Did he? Yeah, did he know something? And he was inconvenient. Who knows, right? Mm-hmm. Dave, do you have any thoughts?
I feel like that's plausible.
Gonna be honest. Check the private chat. Just came back from the washroom. Don't know what the question is.
Oh yeah, I see. You said you weren't.
I had to call you out at that moment.
That's all right.
Yeah. who knows? But it's just such a strange when Tammy posted that, I had to read it like 4 times. I'm like, what? Like, what does this even mean? Like, it's just so odd. And maybe it's coincidence. Who knows? But it's a very strange happening to just, I don't know.
Coincidence? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, here's another kind of strange coincidence. On June 23rd, 2024, Port Cartier prison in Quebec was evacuated due to fires. And if people didn't know, that is the prison that held Luca Magnotta, Robert Pickton, and Paul Bernardo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the fires.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, when? Just recently? Like a couple weeks ago?
Like last month?
Yeah, June 23rd. June 23rd.
So hold on. So it was evacuated and what happened? Where'd they go?
That's a good question. What I can confirm, as of today, the information that I was given is that none of them have been returned.
Do you know what? I didn't know that Pickton was at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. When did, and maybe I'm just so out of the loop, but when did Bernardo go to Quebec? I thought he was in Kingston.
I don't know. I don't believe he's still there, though. I should have been more clear the way that I said it. Like, they've all been in that prison. Obviously, Pickton's not in there anymore. Okay. Yeah, Bernardo was moved to, I think, medium security. But none of the prisoners that were residing in Port Cartier as of the fire have been returned.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the person that told me that also told me that they have a friend. They are also in fire rescue, but they have a friend in the corrections facility there who said it's almost unheard of that prison would be evacuated like that. But he was the one who was able to confirm that they'd not been placed back in the prison.
Wow.
So that's. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was like nobody, I don't think anybody knew that.
That's wild. That's really messed up.
And not a coincidence. Just throwing that out there.
There are no coincidences.
It's definitely very strange. Like, I don't know what the connection is there, but it's definitely very, very weird. And, kind of the more, and Ashley kind of drew my attention to this, but the more I kind of look into this, the more I also kind of see that there seems to be a lot of coincidences with well-known Canadian serial killers and American serial killers, actually.
Yeah. I'm not quite ready to go down the Luca Magnotta thing yet. But, like, I've been looking into that because I don't know, like, it just, there's a lot of weird stuff there. And I always forget his name, but the one that he was the chauffeur for some pretty high up people and a pilot. Who was that guy?
Oh my gosh. He went to school with Paul Bernardo.
With Bernardo, yeah. Shoot. I've got it in my bookmarks. There's some strange overlaps, and even the guy who is from Green River, right? What I've been doing a lot of deep diving into the grunge scene since we talked to Lex and Beach from Big Puff, because my mind is really blown with the psyops that could potentially be within the grunge music scene. The lyrics, I went back and started watching a whole bunch of the videos, and it's really messed up. Like, I didn't even think about it at the time. The lyrics didn't make sense, but now when you look back from a different lens at the things that were happening at that time, and watch the videos, I wasn't really big at watching videos. I was kind of a nerd. I was actually like a band geek. So I played the clarinet and went to band camp.
Get it.
Oh, and this one time at band camp.
So I liked the music at the time, but I was more into like classical music because that's what I was playing, and so I liked that music, but I didn't watch the videos and stuff like that. And I'm going back now, and some of the songs are unbelievable. The imagery that they use are very Pickton Farmy, very much about like creepy dead bodies. It seems to me like people like Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, they sure seem to be trying to tell us something, you know. And like I said to Tammy the other day, were they involved or were they trying to send out a message? I don't know, because I mean, obviously they had to appease their record labels, but then the indie music scene, right? Yeah, I mean, that was one of the first episodes that we ever did, and back then I was just such a cute, sweet, innocent, you know, recovering liberal, and just had no idea what was going on. Now,
that name, was it William Patrick Fife?
No, it was Colonel David Russell Williams.
That's the one.
I was close.
Yeah, he was a decorated Air Force pilot and commander at the Canadian Forces base in Trenton.
Mm-hmm.
He flew Jean Chrétien, Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Philip, the Governor General, and a bunch of other people overseas and in Canada. And then here's where it gets weird. In the 80s, sorry, I'm actually reading this from an old tweet, but in the 80s, he was a student of Toronto's elite Upper Canada College. So when he actually attended is when Douglas Brown, who was one of the housemasters, he was abusing a bunch of the boys at the school. And then he also attended the U of T with Paul Bernardo. And they also took the same courses in economics, lived in the same neighborhood, had the same friends, and they partied together.
The first group of famous people you rifled off in that thing right there, all people you find in Kathy O'Brien's book, as far as the people that used the MK Ultra people to their advantage.
Yeah. So there's a lot of connections, and actually, Ashley, that reminds me about the other connection, the Essendale thing.
I know, I was going to bring that up too. Yeah.
In the, I think that was the last time we talked about this, right? The Essendale. Oh no, that was when we had Wiretap on. The Essendale Hospital was actually very close to the Pickton Farm,
also known as Riverview, I think, for a little while there too, right?
Yeah, it was later changed to Riverview.
Yeah,
and they housed a lot of the criminally insane, and they also did some very questionable experiments. So the experiments that they were doing were most definitely MK Ultra experiments. I say that because you can read about what they were doing there. It's stuff that was done during MK Ultra. Yeah, there it is, and it is still standing.
And I mean, look at it. That just says MK Ultra. But anyway,
100%. Now, they have never openly admitted that they were doing MK Ultra, at least not to my knowledge. But when MK Ultra became public in the 70s, the institutions were told that they were, I say victims loosely, of MK Ultra, but that it was up to their discretion as to whether or not they wanted to admit it to the public that they were. So the experiments that were happening at McGill were also happening at Riverview or Essendale Hospital, whichever you want to call it. Now, the Pickton connection is not just that they lived close to it, but the Picktons actually played on the grounds. They actually had some of the more sane people coming and working on their farm. There was a lot of time and a lot of connection between the Pickton family and workers and patients of that hospital, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for, I don't know, strange
MK
stuff
Ultra
to
aims?
take care. Yeah. To happen, to the boys and maybe Linda as well. Who knows? This is just speculation, but we're just saying that there's very convenient ways for them to have fallen prey to that type of.
Well, what's actually interesting about that too is Linda. So the plausibility of Linda being anything, being involved with that is slim to none, because she was sent to live with an aunt and uncle in Vancouver very, very young. Her father didn't believe that she belonged on a farm. So it was actually just the two boys. And oddly enough, they turned out to be the weirdest ones. So that's kind of interesting as well. And also at a very young age, Dave Pickton killed a boy. So there is that, or at least was complicit in killing somebody.
And there's also another sibling who
Yes.
in Robert Pickton's letters to Victoria, I think, he was talking about losing a sibling. He alludes to it being an accident, but nothing else is said about it. And Tammy, you've said that you can't even find any information on that whatsoever. So there is another sibling.
Yeah, not a thing.
That could mean anything. That could mean that his mother had a miscarriage.
It could definitely, yeah.
Right? And then she fell down the stairs and lost the baby, and that's the accident. It could mean so many things.
For sure. We're not saying. We're just saying.
The way that he talks about it, though, it does seem as though they were they were alive and well at one point. That's how it comes across to me, anyways. But who knows?
Yeah. All we're doing is just throwing out kind of the things that we've noticed, but that's as far as it goes with that. But if anyone knows anything else, then please share with us.
Yeah, and what's also interesting is the third sibling does not show up in any of the family trees. So I've been able to kind of trace back through like the ancestry.ca type websites. And there is nothing about a third sibling, which is also kind of strange.
Which, Suze, could be to your point, right? So maybe if it was a miscarriage, then that could be the possibility there. So, I mean, definitely that could for sure be something. But we're just putting the information out there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of very strange things that surround that. Like I said, I think it's a much bigger thing. I do believe it was a dumping ground. The dirt and all of that stuff from the farm had been actually like moved under the local Walmart and to a bunch of other places.
Costco.
So they were. Yeah, they were removing land from the farm constantly. So, that's also very sketchy in itself. And again, it's the perfect kind of setup if you wanted to hide bodies or remains of bodies, right? The other thing too, and this has probably been my biggest focus since the last time we kind of talked about this, was really kind of diving into what Pickton was saying. So the last time we talked about this was before he was unalived in the prison. And I had actually started reading through letters that he'd written. And I gave Dave a bunch of the letters as well so that he could throw them up. Dave, I don't think it matters which ones you throw up. I know there was one in there, or actually maybe even two or three, where he continues to say that he is innocent. Not innocent. Sorry. I should rephrase that he did not do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Do you know if I'm looking towards like 1-2 area or like 6-7, like as far as the numbers concerned?
It was. I know it's got highlighter on it. That particular one.
All right,
it's
we'll
got
start
like
there.
a paragraph highlighted around it. But he actually talks about how he's the fall guy and how the police won't look for the truth because they're just looking for somebody to pin the blame on and basically keep their noses clean is kind of how it's said. Sorry, I'm just trying to zoom in on this. No, I don't think that's the one. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. But they definitely... Oh, yes. This might be the one here. I can't read that one. It's not...
So hard to read.
Yes. The police have so much money invested in this case. There will be many, many lies throughout, as many things all come to the surface. The police... Sorry, I actually need to put on my spectacles.
Have paid many for them what to say when they are on the stand. And then I just finished off the first highlightings.
Yeah. So this is the type of stuff that you see throughout his letters where he continually says that they're hiding things. And I kind of started to look a little bit more into that as well, because I thought, that seems kind of strange. And Pickton actually, during his trial, wrote a letter to the judge asking if he could be put on the stand. And they kind of passed it around the courtroom and gave it right back to his lawyer, Peter Ritchie, and still didn't let him go up on the stand. His lawyer wouldn't let him go up on the stand. Now, there's different opinions on that. Somebody was saying the other day when I had posted about that, oh, well, you can always fire your lawyer. I don't think that was the case with him. And the reason I don't think that is because they didn't have the funds to pay for the lawyer. It was millions and millions of dollars that it cost to have this lawsuit, right? So they didn't have those funds. And so the government actually stepped in, and there was a deal made over it was kind of a legal aid scenario with Peter Ritchie, where he actually agreed to take the case, but he agreed he basically agreed with what the government had offered to pay him after they were able to put the farm up. So if people don't know, they took a mortgage out on the farm for like $13 million something dollars. And a lot of people were wondering why that was. I believe that's actually because of the court case to help fund it. So I don't think that he was actually able to fire the lawyer. I think it was kind of solidified that would be his lawyer based on the fact that, they needed so many millions and the government actually had to step in. But that in itself is also, very sketchy as well. So now you have somebody that is he really working for the client?
I don't understand how you can't have like the main perpetrator not get up on the stand. Like isn't that pretty well unheard of?
Yeah. And Pickton had one interview and only one interview ever given. It was when he was in pretrial, and it was given to CTV News. And that's where he actually said, I want to go on the stand. They won't let me go on the stand. And, he'd been voicing that he wanted to go on. And then again, once they did go to trial, he had written that letter, and they still wouldn't allow him to go. So the reason that's kind of important too is, like after trial and everything, when he did finally go to prison, he was not allowed to give any interviews, and that is uncommon. So most times prisoners are actually allowed to do interviews. Is there a few cases where they're not granted? Yes, absolutely. I'm not disputing that, but in most cases, they'll allow prisoners to do interviews. Pickton was denied. And when the corrections officers were asked about it, they said, oh, well, we deal with it on a case-by-case basis. But literally every single person that requested an interview was denied. They would not let him speak to anybody. And the other thing I found out as well is his neighbors, who he was very close with. So the husband's name was Albert Harvey, I believe. They had tried to get in touch with him while he was in prison as well, and they were not allowing him to speak with them. So Albert Harvey actually had to go to the prison to speak with him.
You know what's crazy? So I'm gonna compare what you just said right there, because I just watched this other podcast that had really nothing to do with Pickton, obviously, but what was said in that podcast relates extremely after hearing you say what you just said, because it's kind of tripping me out. Where in this one they were talking about like a court case of like whatever it was, and then the two people talking were like, well, and then you saw what happened. They brought out the establishment prosecutor, the establishment judge, remember when we were younger and we saw court cases on TV, like ones of high magnitude and high press, like they always had like pretty much the same prosecutors, like they had famous lawyers, famous judges that were always making their way onto TV, and those people were handpicked by the establishment to make sure they control the narrative. So, for instance, like Pickton not being allowed to testify was like narrative control, perhaps, right? And then these people get rolled out by the establishment just to make sure, like, they don't even care about the guilty verdict or the whatever verdict, but they just care of maintaining a narrative. And that's why we keep seeing these same judges and friggin' lawyers and whatnot brought out in front of the public eye.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's a very good point too. And now that you're saying that, I'm kind of like, interesting.
I only watched Night Court.
A night court.
Me too.
They did bring that back, eh?
Did they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they did.
I wouldn't watch it now.
The other interesting piece of information I found out too was that Albert Harvey, so Robert Pickton's neighbor, actually stated that Len Trabolet and his wife were regulars at Piggy's Palace. And that was actually the mayor.
Oh.
Interesting. Another one of those coincidences.
Yeah, right. Exactly, Sue.
And the way it was actually said was that they never missed a party.
Wow.
So, all of the rumors, because I like early on in this, I kept hearing rumors of, the mayor went, and I was never able to find anything. And then I finally I don't even know at this point how many books and articles and whatever I've read about this, but I was able finally to connect that the mayor was there. So, yes, there was high profile people there. And one of the city councilors actually rented out the Piggy Palace as well.
Okay, wait, but Linda Pickton was friends with a mayor's wife. I don't remember which one. It wouldn't be the same, would it?
It potentially could have been. Port Coquitlam is only
about I'm pretty
30 minutes from Vancouver, and she was in Vancouver, and she spent a lot of time out at Port Coquitlam dealing with different legal things with the farm. So could that be true? Absolutely.
I'd have to look back and double check that, but I know there was one mayor that she was like good friends with the wife, but I don't know who that was. So,
there was also a woman, Giselle Ierson, who came forward and said that he was not acting alone, and she was a sex worker. So, yeah. And then there was also another woman, and I can't remember her name, but she came forward and said that she was actually locked down in David Pickton's basement. So David lived on the farm in the house, and Robert lived in the mobile home on the farm. And she said that she was locked down in the basement and raped repeatedly by multiple men over an entire weekend, and then she escaped.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's, there's Linda Pickton right there.
This paragraph is crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I sent this to Tammy once and she's like, yeah, that article might have a lot of fallacies in it.
It's
So,
reaching, no? It's like fantasy. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
I mean, it doesn't mean
it's
that
able danger, I think.
it doesn't mean that there aren't any things in it that are true, but that might be one of the things where we have to be careful not to, it's hard. It's truly hard to know what to believe and what not to believe. And it's hard. Like when you read things like that, it's like, well, why not? Right. But
Yeah.
Well, and it's such a sensitive topic too, right?
definitely.
It's, there's still a lot of people still alive connected to this. Many, many, many people alive still connected to this.
Mhm.
And so it is such a touchy thing. And, there's so many people that have spent so much time looking into this and trying to figure it out. Right. So you have to be kind of careful the things that you're bringing forward. But one thing I can say with absolute certainty is everybody that's looked into it has come to the same conclusion that, he wasn't acting alone. And if you don't know what the Highway of Tears is, I would highly recommend you look into that, because that's also very, very, very strange. And there's a lot to that, I believe. So, do you guys know what the Highway of Tears is?
Yes.
no.
Nope.
You don't?
Nope.
No.
So the Highway of Tears is a stretch of highway in BC. It goes to, hang on. I'm trying to pull up this tweet. So, Dave, if you search Highway of Tears on my profile, it'll come up and it'll actually bring up the map of it.
On it.
So the Highway of Tears, since the 1970s, over 80 women have gone missing. That's just women. That doesn't include men. And it goes straight into Prince Rupert. And Prince Rupert is what I was saying earlier. It's that third busiest port on the West Coast. And it's kind of a global gateway for exporting stuff around the world. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys can connect the dots there, but that's pretty alarming too, right? There's just so much in this. Like it's hard to even pinpoint it to one thing, because the more you look into it, the more you unpack.
I know. And that's part of the problem is like, I probably have like almost 200 tabs open on my phone now. Cause I just like, I see one thing, I'm like, I got to go back to that. But then I keep finding more and more and more. And it's like, I don't even, okay. I had a cheesecake one in there. So I closed that. I was so happy. Like, oh, I can close the cheesecake recipe, but.
But are you planning on making the cheesecake?
I did for my hubby's birthday.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It was delicious.
As an outsider just looking in, it feels like all this stuff, like how you're saying how large it is, could be like connected to pedophilia stuff, to human trafficking, to drugs, to crime, to like selling human organs, to satanic stuff, to like that's like the scope of like,
adrenochrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, I think that the Pickton Farm was just the dumping ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I think the connection is. But the funny thing is well, not funny, but you know what I mean, is they've got everybody looking there when we should all be looking at the bigger picture. And I don't mean that in the sense of, the people that were found on the farm don't matter. That's not what I'm saying. They very much do. But they've got our attention on the Pickton Farm instead of kind of looking outside of that to the bigger picture. And when you really look at the bigger picture, you can see, even in regards to Prince Rupert, this is happening all up the coast. Like obviously Port Coquitlam isn't super close to Prince Rupert, but it is super close to Vancouver. And again, you're talking a coastline, right? So you can go up that way, or you can go down through like into Seattle, which if you've done any research, you'll know that's where the Green River Killer was.
And he was at the like the Pickton parties, right?
Yes. And spent a ton of time in Vancouver, actually assaulted a few prostitutes in Vancouver. Like there's records of it. So we're looking at this one small piece to a very, very, very large puzzle. And then where it gets more interesting, if that's even possible, is the ties to very prominent people and pig farms. So if you know about Pizzagate and the Podestas have ties to pig farms.
You don't say.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Really makes me rethink pork. If Jamie Solei's interview didn't.
I know, right?
Why is it so delicious? Oh no, maybe I love the taste of humans.
Oh no, Soylent Green.
Oh
Stop.
no.
Stop. Why'd you go there? Why? Why would you do that?
Sorry.
Come on.
Sorry, everyone.
Come on. You just ruined bacon forever. Come on.
Oh no. I went there.
So I was trying to find. Yeah, so Podesta owns pig farms.
Fuck.
Podesta owns pig farms, yeah. And then and he worked on one too. John Podesta.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
And so if you, like, I mean, I don't think I really need to say much more about that because I think everybody kind of knows the ties there. But yeah, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sorry, like I'm just, I shouldn't say yep. I'm reading like what Dave has up on the screen here. So what do Elephantis and pig farms and Podesta all have in common? And then Dave, that's really small, but can you read the bottom?
The long-awaited NWO goal line was just inches away, and people were getting arrogant and careless. Look how sloppy and lackadaisical Hillary was with her secret email server security, which led to the Pitchnick coup and the Clinton Foundation scandal revelations, which led to the more email investigations, which with help from Anthony Weiner led to James Alefantis and Pizzagate. And this also, I'm kind of even scared to scroll down.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
I don't blame you at all.
So,
and then another strange one that probably not a lot of people know about is Herb Baumeister. So he was active in the 80s and 90s in Indianapolis. Well, it's actually in Westfield, but it's north of Indianapolis. And he had allegedly abducted several young men and teenage boys, and their remains were found on his property, which was a big farm. There was, I think, roughly 10,000 remains found. And it was like crushed skulls and like skeletal fragment. Yeah. So Dave just has the New York Post article up here. Yeah, so it was 10,000 human remains found on serial killer's farm, and authorities are still identifying victims. Now, here's where it gets ultra weird. On July 3rd, 1996, Herb Baumeister drove to Canada, crossed over the border, drove into the Pinery Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada, and shot himself.
Huh.
Well, that's something. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit.
Oh, there's another tab for you to open.
Ah, shit. Okay. I'll have to get rid of the chicken shawarma recipe. I'm done with that one too.
So that's kind of, I know that was kind of all over the place, but I think it's important information because, again, I think everybody's been so focused on, and I have too, it's been so focused on the Pickton Farm, not realizing that it's just such a small piece to something so much larger, and something that's been going on for, more than decades. Right
And-
here, even in, go ahead.
Well, and I mean, you say like, well, let's not just focus on the Pickton Farm, but let's not even just focus on BC, because like, as you've pointed out, Tammy, there are so many like different places where there's like a huge amount of missing persons throughout Canada. Thunder Bay is a big one.
Yep.
You've mentioned a whole bunch
Quebec.
of different places, Halifax. So,
Yes.
definitely places with waterways, ports, the St. Lawrence is a big one for just
The St. Lawrence is a hotbed. The St. Lawrence is probably, out of all of this, one of the most horrific things that I've read about, to be honest. And it's not because there's been, some big thing that I've uncovered there. It's been the amount of human trafficking that is taking place that I was just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how bad it actually was. And for anybody that doubts that, look into Project Jericho and Project Truth, which were two huge police operations that resulted in, hundreds of charges being laid, as well as hundreds of children being saved. And literally in Project Truth and Project Jericho. So Jericho was the town of Prescott, and Project Truth was Cornwall, which they're about an hour away from each other. And they basically, the whole town was on this. They were performing satanic rituals on children. There was one little girl who, she said, they made me drink the yucky juice, which it's speculated that that's blood. Obviously, we have no way to confirm that, but they were doing all sorts of crazy rituals to these children. And when it finally broke open, and they both were kind of around the same time ish, it was almost like they definitely had some overlap. But very important that they were both happening around the same time, right? So these were going on for years and years and years, and nobody was saying anything. And again, most of the towns were involved in it. And then you also have the Lost Boys of Pickering. So the six little boys that went missing, who they say stole a boat. I want to say it was March 16th. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry. I've got so much information in my head. But I believe it was March 16th. They went missing, and they said that they went to the marina in the area and stole a boat, and then one of those like tricycle boats. And the boat and both boats and the children were never recovered. Not even a belonging was recovered from them. Now, what's interesting about that is they took it out onto Lake Ontario. And if you know anything about Lake Ontario, right across is like on the other side of Lake Ontario, the American side is Finger Lakes, which is where so many people go missing every single year. And it is tattooed on Hunter Biden's back.
Wow.
So this is why I say the focus on Pickton is just really a starting point. I believe that they have these dump sites kind of all over, more specifically at pig farms, because pigs will eat just about anything. And people need to kind of, treat the pig farm as kind of as though you were zoomed in on Google Earth, and start to zoom out a little bit and see kind of the bigger picture. Unfortunately, it's a lot bigger, and I have to disassociate from it a lot of the time to to not be emotional about it. Because it's really sad.
For sure. You have no other choice, or else you can't get through that stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting thing that you've just pointing out, like even that the Finger Lakes are on the other side of Lake Ontario. And then so that opens up its whole can of worms in itself. And it did make me think about Ghislaine Maxwell. She had established, or she was a part of the Terramar Project, which was a self-described environmental nonprofit organization that was kind of meant to protect the oceans. Why would she want to do that? You know, and
dump the bodies in the ocean.
Right.
Why did she have a submarine license?
Right. Exactly.
Oh my God.
And they
Susan's
actually
having a meltdown.
and so they
What is happening?
They incorporated it in the UK in 2013, and then they announced its closure on the 12th of July, 2019, shortly after Epstein was, I guess, after he was apprehended or whatever it was, like after he was charged. So I don't know what you just stop caring about the oceans.
Stop caring about the oceans.
Why can't you keep the nonprofit to save the oceans going? Like get Greta on board instead.
They realized they were fine.
Yeah.
They realized the sharks are taking care of it. Everything's under control. And she said, fuck this.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, and did you see the thing with her with the Disney thing? Did you see this?
Yeah.
Susan's like, come on. So this is something too that I just want to correct with people, because a lot of people keep posting this stupid, it's a stupid picture of her with like Donald Duck and whatever. And they're like, oh, Ghislaine Maxwell worked at Disney, blah, blah, blah. No, she didn't. This is what irritates me with people not actually doing research. She didn't work at Disney, but it does get weird. In 1985, the Mirror, which was, it's now known, I believe, as the Daily Mirror, but it was owned by Robert Maxwell. So it's like a tabloid or whatever, mainstream media
her daddy
outlet in the UK. Yeah. They organized a Disney Day at Lord and Lady Bath's Longleat House in Wiltshire, England. And at the event, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a check for £2,000 for the Save the Children Fund. And
sure,
the children need to be saved from her. Like, how bizarre is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
this
is also
85, you said?
Yeah. And these are the pictures. So yeah, what Dave has up here, these pictures, they're circulated in kind of like a collage or whatever, where people have written a bunch of very untrue shit. And circulated these stupid photos. And so, you know, people just see it and they're like, it must be true because I saw it on the internet. She didn't work for Disney. And to be clear, I don't like Disney any more than anybody else does. And I think that they're trafficking children in the tunnels underneath of it. But she didn't work for Disney. This was like a Disney day that they did. And is that? No, just kidding. Never mind. I thought I recognized somebody in the photo, but I don't want to say it now. Because it's not the person.
You're gonna have to say that after the fact.
Yeah. I will.
Just to us.
I'm curious to know who you thought it was.
I don't want to get called a racist, so. I'm not gonna say
I think I know. I think I know.
Anyways.
You fucking bigot.
So she is donating money to save the children, and then she's like, but also the children need saving from me. And so this just touches on this, but there has been over and over and over and over and over again charities and different institutions that are supposed to be about saving the children that are then found to be doing the opposite of saving the children. So if you look at the Clinton Foundation, when they went into Haiti, Jeffrey Epstein's foundation was also in Haiti, and Laura Silsby ended up getting, she was working for the Clinton Foundation. She ended up getting caught smuggling 33 Haitian children into the U.S. And when they asked her about it, they were told that she was they already had adoptive families waiting for them. Meanwhile, they went and found all of the children's parents who wanted to keep their children.
Wow.
And
David Pickton.
Yes,
He had
David Pickton. 80 Rose Lane, Ghana.
Yep.
The Pickton Foundation. That is the address.
Sorry, Tammy, you were going to finish off that though. I think you were going to say something about the. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay. I think I was just going to say, like, she served like basically no sentence. Like, it was very, very minor what she got for doing that, for literally for smuggling children. And who came to her rescue to try to come to a deal with the Haitian government over it? None other than Bill Clinton.
No.
Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Bill Clinton made a deal with the Haitian government for a lesser sentence. And then if you want to connect Bill Clinton to Canada, take a look at Frank Stronach, who about a month and a half ago was arrested for rape, forcible confinement, you name it. And his daughter is Belinda Stronach, who used to be a conservative and crossed the floor in 2005 to go to the liberal side, who was... I'm going to say rumored, but it wasn't a rumor, to be sleeping with Bill Clinton.
Allegedly.
Frank Stronach also had some pretty big farms. I think they were mostly equestrian, but I mean, I don't know. Did they have little subsidiaries of different types of like farms that went along with the equestrian ones? I don't know, but definitely.
Well, look into Horses Unlimited in Niagara Falls.
They had pigs too.
Did they actually sue?
No, I'm joking.
Oh. I'm like, I did not know that.
And then if you connect all this business into the stuff that I'm making videos about, like that Sabatier and Francis shit, it's all inversion. So like, what are you going to do if you want to make people think that you're not hurting a whole bunch of children? You're going to go to a Disney day out thing and donate money to fucking children.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, inversion is real.
Yeah. Her dad was fucking her dad was called by like David Icke and whoever like as a huge Sabatier and Francis, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. So, it's just all inversion, and it all trails back, and it all connects, and the world is evil. The end.
And just like in relation to the horse farm, there is a farm in Niagara Falls. It's now closed down. It's had like 3 or 4 fires at it, and the man that owned them is not a good guy. I was on a lot of Reddit forums where people were like telling stories about this guy, but now allegedly he was running a human trafficking ring, out of his farm called Horses Unlimited in Niagara Falls. He is a very strange man. I looked into him quite a bit. I had quite a few people reach out to me about him, but I kind of backed away from it because I got tied up in some other Pickton stuff. But again, a horse farm.
Right. And I guess those horse trailers would be kind of an easy way to transport humans.
You guys are just ruining my life today. You know how I've always dreamed of having a horse farm and a ranch and horses?
Sorry,
well,
Suze.
you should, because you would do it for good.
I would.
Don't turn evil.
Don't turn evil. I promise I will not turn evil.
I think it's important.
Am not suicidal. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, me either.
I'm not suicidal.
I think it's important though, as like it's a very uncomfortable thing to talk about because it's just I can't imagine, like, my aunt's probably going to listen to this, and I've spent a lot of time talking to her about human trafficking the last couple times that I've seen her, and I was telling her stuff, and like every time I'm telling her something, I can see like her eyes go wide, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh."
Sorry, Tammy's aunt. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah. And she's for somebody that's just listening to this stuff and kind of learning about it now, I think it's got to be pretty hard to take in to know that so many of the places that you love or would send your children or whatever turn out to be not such great places. And she made a comment to me the last time we talked that kind of stuck with me, but she said, because she's got grandkids now, my cousin's children, and she said, so So I'm not so paranoid for not taking my eyes off of them when they're at the park. And I was like, no, you're not. And it stuck with me because, you know, we make jokes and stuff about like people being helicopter parents and, you know, all that stuff. And I don't agree with doing everything for your children. Your children need to like, you know, go off and kind of learn how the world works and stuff. Otherwise they're going to have a really tough life. But the people that are, you know, super protective of their kids, I do get it now. And the more I look into this, the more I get it. And the more I'm like, you know, if I had kids, I would not be letting them out of my sight. It truly is. It is something that you have to worry about.
Dude, I am one of those parents to a degree. I literally have a park even behind my house. There's a bit, my husband and I joke that we should cut down the tree because there's a tree blocking my vision, like my view to the park. And my kids, like, they want to go to the park, like, by themselves. And I'm like, no. Like,
I don't blame you.
I'm like, you're not at that age yet. I'm like, I have this massive tree in my fucking way. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Right? And I have been training my kid, and it's so sad that I even have to do this, but I have been training my kids on exactly what to do, how to respond, how to act if anything were to happen, if somebody were to approach them. I am at the point where I am trying to actually find somebody to do a social experiment with them, to see that they have like learned what I told them, and to not talk to a stranger and to make sure that they come find me right away and shit like that. Like, I'm actually looking for
I
somebody
don't even blame you.
to do a social experiment with them. Like, it's crazy. And like, I constantly look for like fucked up shit. Like, okay, this was fucked up. So there's a park behind my house. Like, I can see it from my house. Right. And tell me if you guys think this is weird. A few weeks ago, I look out into the park and I don't know, it was like a Sunday afternoon or something. And I see these random balloons tied to a bench. There's nobody at the park. Nobody. The park was empty.
Pennywise vibes.
Like, come on. And then I'm like, why are these balloons there? And my husband was the one that is like, he's like, did a map put them there? Like, he said map because that's what we say in front of my kids, right? And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And like, I'm not saying that's what it was, but like, my mind went there. Like, our mind went there. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, what the fuck? And thankfully, also another time, I saw this like super sus looking guy who was walking through the park. And I have a dog who's quite vocal and large, and he can see everything at the park, right? So we joke, and because he's always like barking at people at the park or whatever, like he's like telling everybody to disperse, right? And there's just this random guy, and he looked kind of suspicious, and he's just walking through the park, and here goes my dog, and he starts barking at him, and the guy looks at my dog. And then he just keeps walking. And then he walks onto the playground and goes underneath like the structure. And I'm like, and he had a backpack. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And my dog keeps barking at him. And he keeps looking at my dog. And then he takes off. I'm like, yeah, Blue, you did it. You got rid of the guy. But he looks so suspicious. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Dude, that would totally be me. I'm like that, and I don't even have kids, but I'm always like suspicious of everybody. Mm-hmm. I also carry pepper spray and a personal alarm at all times too, and I sleep with it by my head. But
sometimes you sleep with a bat. I get it.
I also sleep with a bat. Yes, that's true. There's actually one other thing I wanted to mention, and this is just in regards to trafficking in general. But I think it's an important thing just because Sue's, your playground thing reminded me of this, but the digital playground is also something to be very wary of. So I received a very strange message from a TikTok profile that offered to pay me money if they could create a mural of my photos. And at the time I was like, why would you want to do that with my TikTok stuff? Because my TikTok stuff is literally videos of my tweets. I just do whatever I tweet. I put it onto TikTok, and I'm only doing it. Like, I hate TikTok, but I'm doing it to raise awareness. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it was, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I got the same message like a couple years back, but I ignored it. Like, I didn't look into it or anything like that. But I got a similar thing. Someone was asking like, oh, can I do a mural of you? And you'll get paid, da da da. And like I saw that you'll get paid, and I was like, this is a scam, whatever, bye. Like that was that.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought too, especially knowing like what my TikTok is. And I didn't think anything of it until I actually woke up in the morning the very next day and received a really strange message from somebody. But basically, the story is an 18-year-old Canadian girl received a message on TikTok from a profile that was offering money to create art with her profile photo. So it's like same as what I got. She ended up providing them her information, and they sent her a screenshot of a check. And she attempted to deposit the check into her banking app. It obviously didn't work. And a little while later, they informed her that there was an error and that they needed her to send the money back. So she agreed and attempted to send the money back, but it came back to NSF or whatever. And then they started threatening her and stating that they were going to kill her and threatening her family. They said, you would not want to end like this, and then sent her multiple photos and videos. And like, I saw the photos and videos. The videos were sent to me, and it was the grossest shit I've ever seen. One guy had his head blown off. Oh, wow. Like the back of his head was blown off. And I didn't put that in the tweet that I did because it was too much. And I was kind of like reeling from this whole thing even happening. But another guy had, like, they were chopping off his fingers.
Wow.
Like, it was really, really disturbing and messed up. And so, of course, this girl goes to the police station. She brought 2 friends with her. And then while they're at the police station reporting, her phone had died. And obviously a bunch of this stuff is on the phone. So her sister went out to get the charger. And a short while later, the young girl went out and went to go get into the car. And as she's walking out, like a rape van, like a white rape van, pulled up and yelled her name and said, "Get in." And she started running to the car to her sister and her friend. And thankfully, they were quick thinkers and were able to get the plate, and they were able to give it back to the police and kind of let them know what happened. But the police actually confirmed that it is a human trafficking ring, that the address user was from the US, the phone number was from Toronto. And like I said, they confirmed that it was a trafficking ring. So,
wow.
I actually went back the next day and grabbed screenshots of the one that had messaged me. And what was crazy about it was it had been suspended from the time that they'd messaged me until that morning. It had actually gotten suspended. So this girl was from Alberta. It was actually in Fort McMurray.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So now that we've crushed everybody's hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
I have late breaking news, guys. Sorry. Right here. Hurry.
Oh shit. Here we go.
Oh no. What is it?
We did land on the moon?
No, days are getting longer. Days are getting longer because of climate change.
Whoa.
That's not a bad thing. Who the fuck said that's a bad thing?
What isn't a result of climate change?
Look at some of these comments. It only feels longer having to read these ludicrous headlines. I thought the days were getting longer due to racism and the unvaccinated. So yeah, just had to throw some comedy in there.
Breaking.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Breaking news. We are killing the planet, everyone.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I think we needed some comedy. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry, audience, for I don't know, crushing your dreams, like Tammy said. But
I have no final thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have final thoughts? Like, I'm drained.
Mine's
That's why I said I have no thoughts.
I guess like just look at the bigger picture, right? And be aware that, you know, kind of, they don't just give us information for free. So when they're giving us information, they're taking something away somewhere else. And that's something to be very mindful of. And again, that's why I was kind of quiet on the on the Trump thing in the beginning, because I'm just not sure what that is yet.
Mhm.
But they don't just give us things, right? So I think, zoom out and understand that it's a big picture thing. And, in terms of human trafficking, hold your babies tight, because there is a lot of people out there that want them. And I'm sorry, I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth.
I was going
And
to say,
teach them.
to the parents out there, be a helicopter parent to a degree. Speak to your kids. Teach them exactly what to do. Don't just be like the simple stranger danger shit. Teach them exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like growing up, we had so much freedom. Like I had such a great childhood. I loved it. But we had like my parents talked to us about the importance of being safe, even still, and we had those weird conversations. I was a kid. I'm like, why are you telling me this stuff? And they still went through all this stuff, right? Now, thinking about all the shit that was going on back then, I think, geez, it's almost crazy that, we just still had so much freedom. Like we used to play hide and seek throughout the whole town. It wasn't it wasn't that big, but I mean, we would play outside all day. Anyways, just talk to your kids. I know it might seem like you don't want to ruin their innocence, but you know what would ruin their innocence? Well, yeah, dot, right? But talk to your kids. Find a way to make sure that they're safe. Without, I mean, you still have to let your kids have fun, though, right? So I don't know. There's got to be a balance there somewhere.
My kids have fun. They're happy.
Yeah. That's it.
We
you
go
find
to the park,
it, right? Yeah, you find
but
it.
But I go with them.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
And I'm not at the park on my phone. I'm watching them.
You're watching. Yeah.
Or I'm actually playing with them. Oh, one more story. Hold on. Let me tell you one more story. So my husband took my kids to the park, and he sees two people walk into the park, a man and a woman. He thought they were originally together. Beside our park, there's a basketball court, like one of those outdoor basketball courts, right? And that side has like some benches as well. Now, I find it suspicious sometimes when you just see some random person sitting at a child's playground by themselves. Now, yes, okay, maybe you're going for a walk. Like some of the older people, like super old, they go for walks and they like sit at the bench, right? But he thought they were together, and he said like the guy went and he sat alone at the bench close to the basketball court, but was kind of facing the park, right? And then the lady was on the phone and sat on a completely different bench on the other side of the park. And then so he's telling me this story, and I'm like, okay, how much do you want it? My mind is like, they're working together because this is what these people do. Like they work in pairs and whatever, right? And my husband decided to get up and go play with my kids because he's watching this man and he's like, what the hell? So once he got up and decided to physically start playing with my kids, the man left.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I live in what is known to be a safe neighborhood. And I have come to the conclusion that safe neighborhoods are not safe at all, and probably even more at risk because people think they're safe neighborhoods.
Right. For sure.
So they're targets for that one reason.
Mm-hmm. All right, Suze, you're up.
Yes, that's me.
What are we doing next week?
Next week, we are talking about nothing dreary whatsoever. Next week, we're going to have our Twitter X friend, Frozen Belle. Her handle is awesome. _Belle. We're going to have just, a little freestyle chat. We'll talk about all things, currently crazy in the world. And we know there's no shortage of that. Hopefully, funnier shit.
She's awesome.
We will. And we're probably going to talk about the importance of, maybe starting to homeschool our kids. Because I think we all need to.
Wow, that's a good segue.
She's a mother. Yeah, yep. She's a mother, and I know that's something she wanted to kind of discuss as well. So we'll talk about a bunch of shit, and that's going to be one of them. So I'm excited to have her on. She's a great account. If you don't follow her, go give her a follow. That's at Frozen_Belle, BELLE.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking
Yeah,
forward to
I
that.
agree.
That'll be nice. Thanks, Tammy.
Refreshing chat.
I'll try to have a happier episode next time. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thanks to all you listeners out there for tuning in for another episode. Sorry for the darkness, but we do need to talk about these things. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are finding that we have a lot of like Twitter listeners or subscribers, but we'd love to see those translate into our different platforms that we're on. It'd be nice just to see those numbers go up as you know we gain some steam. So go ahead and do that if you feel like it. And thanks again for tuning in. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.
Hi, everyone.